The January 19th, 2021 meeting of the Seattle City Council will come to order. It is 2:00 p.m. I'm Lorena Gonzalez, President of the Council. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Juarez.
Here.
Councilmember Lewis.
Present.
Councilmember Morales. Councilmember Mosqueda.
Present.
Councilmember Peterson.
Present.
Councilmember Sawant.
Here.
Councilmember Strauss.
Present.
Councilmember Herbold.
Here.
Council President Gonzalez.
Here.
8 present.
Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. We will note when our 9th council member joins us. I think she might already be here. 7. Okay. So colleagues, we're going to start off today's opportunity to hear about a proclamation. I'm so sorry, I didn't have it pulled up, so I need to get that pulled up right away here. Just a minute. All right, so council members, I have a proclamation today honoring Martin Luther King Jr. Unity Week, that I would like to read, and then I'm happy to open the floor for comments before suspending the rules to allow our guest to accept the proclamation. Colleagues, really excited about being able to have an opportunity to present this joint proclamation that will be signed by all 9 council members and Mayor Durkan. And the proclamation reads as follows. Whereas Dr. King was a champion for justice for the voiceless and for those who were refused access to the American dream, and whereas he was a preacher, teacher, and racial justice organizer who challenged us to make freedom a reality for all people, and whereas the annual observance of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day has never been more meaningful than the year following George Floyd's murder and Black women delivering Joe Biden to the White House, and whereas we are compelled to examine our collective failure to address institutional racism as a city and institution and its impacts on the lives of people of color, BIPOC, Black, and Brown Americans. Whereas each year the holiday has typically brought together community members across Seattle to celebrate the life, legacy, and visions for a more racially equitable and just society of the incomparable Dr. King. And whereas we will make painful personal sacrifices and decisions intended to keep our friends, family, neighbors, and community safe by staying home. Whereas the institution is replete with racism and a disregard for people who don't look like them in leadership. Whereas we will also recognize local community leaders on the cutting edge of anti-racist movements and activism, and the Black and Brown public servants, particularly Black women, the founding lifeblood of the city's race and social justice body of work. Whereas we are committed to racial equity, diversity, and inclusion while also holding ourselves accountable and continuing to do the work required to address systemic racism when and where it exists. And whereas Martin Luther King Jr. Unity Day is an occasion for each branch of government to carry on the tradition and the momentum of anti-racism movements, and Seattle sits in the only U.S. county to bear his name, and we find it our solemn duty to maintain a fierce commitment to undoing racism and dismantling white supremacy. And whereas the city of Seattle is proud to observe and remember Dr. King's legacy even in this virtual environment, and now therefore the mayor and the Seattle City Council proclaim today to be Martin Luther King Jr. Unity Day. Thank you, colleagues, for allowing me an opportunity to read that into the record for today. I do want to open it up for any comments from any council members before the rules are suspended to allow Natalie Hunter, a 40-year City of Seattle employee, to accept this proclamation on behalf of our city workers. Any comments? Councilmember Mosqueda, and then Councilmember Morales.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Thank you very much, Madam President, for bringing forward this proclamation today. Thanks to the city of employee members and our community at large. As we grapple with the legacy of Dr. King and all that he fought for, we recognize that he wasn't just an icon for peaceful civil disobedience in some cases. He was a radical thought provocateur who encouraged us to fight against the status quo. And many of the comments that people remember on the day of Martin Luther King like to often whitewash what he stood for. He encouraged us to push ourselves out of our comfort zone, be radical in our thinking, and radical by its nature, the actual definition means to get at the root of the problem, to get at the injustices where they start. And he urged us through his Poor People's Movement and the campaign that he was launching in the days that he was assassinated to look at poverty and racism and the ills in our society that continue to plague generation after generation. And here we are, decades later, in a city that is still plagued by the racist roots of covenants that are playing out in zoning law. We still have a city that has large numbers of Black and brown folks getting pushed out of this city, and we have not built the housing that we need to make sure that more people have opportunity to access and stability. We are in a time where the COVID pandemic has ravaged through our Black and brown communities, putting at risk the lives and the health of communities of color because we have inequities in our health systems to begin with, and those who are exposed to COVID on the front line are more likely to be Black and brown. And when it comes to creating a better future for our young children, our Black and brown youth are more likely to not be able to access the high quality early learning and childcare opportunities that are needed in order to ensure that they have an opportunity for success. The social determinants of health are rooted within those first 3 years of life, and we know this, and yet we have in many cases failed to act in terms of funding and policy decisions, and we are working to change that. We are not fighting on these issues incrementally, but we are pushing forward bold agendas, and we have so much further to go. I want to thank our city employees for everything they do every day, not only for enacting these bold policies, but for being the truth tellers on the front line to tell us what's working and what's not working, and in many cases putting themselves in harm's way during this pandemic as well to care for our most vulnerable. And many of our community members who have been calling for action, racial justice, and fighting for equality for many years, you are part of the movement, part of the legacy of Dr. King, and I'm so incredibly inspired to work with you and to fight for all that Dr. King stood for and continues to fight for through the work that he has left behind in all of the movements that we see today. I am humbled to work for you at the City of Seattle, and I thank you for your work, especially in light of the honor of Dr. King in this proclamation and all of your work.
Thank you, Councilmember Mosqueda. Councilmember Morales.
Thank you. I will be brief. I want to acknowledge and celebrate the city staff, our city workers who are working really hard to implement some of the policy changes that we're talking about. And remember that as we celebrate the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, I always think about a quote that something he said when he was speaking at Stanford University in 1967, where he described how communities of color are perishing on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. Our communities here, communities of color here in Seattle, are resilient and strong, and they're driving the change that we're talking about. But what Dr. King said 50 years ago is still true today. So I want to thank the folks in the city who are pushing us to acknowledge the barriers, the structural problems that we still have in the city, and who are helping to implement the change that we're seeking. I want to thank particularly the Black women in the city who are pushing, and I want to thank the Black women on my staff, Lakeisha Farmer and Alexis Turla, who are really helping drive our office, drive some of the changes that we're seeking in our office, and helping bring the voices of community into our office. So I want to thank everybody and honor the work that our city staff are doing, and I'm eager to affix my signature to this proclamation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Morales. Are there any other comments, colleagues? Okay, hearing none, I am also deeply grateful for all of the work that our city staff do to help implement many of the policy priorities that are identified by City Council, but I also want to deeply thank them for many of the policies that they have driven in terms of changes to how the city could do better by our Black and brown residents and workers here in the city of Seattle. Our city workers are are on the front lines every day, providing basic services to some of the most vulnerable people in our city, and to those people who need the most help, and who rely on city services the most. And so I really want to thank all of them. I also want to acknowledge that I remember in 2016, when Trump was first elected, the amount of pain and anguish that was experienced by many of our City of Seattle employees, particularly those in the field, who were almost immediately subjected to racial slurs and other horrific acts as they were going about doing their city work within our city, and the courage to have them share those stories and those experiences with us, not just for purposes of sharing, but to underscore why it's important for us as leaders in the city to continue to tackle racism and institutional racism. I think is a very important. Is very important to our city employees, that we continue to live our values, and that we continue to put those values to work for them, and for the people that we all are working in service for. So with that being said, I am going to go ahead and suspend the rules. If there's no objection, the council rules will be suspended to allow Natalie Hunter to accept the proclamation and provide acceptance remarks. Hearing no objection, the council rules are suspended. And Natalie Hunter, I know you are on the line. I can see your name on this tile. Welcome to the City Council meeting. You are recognized and are welcome to provide some remarks to members of the City Council and the viewing public. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. And I want to thank you all for your beautiful statements. They're really deeply touch my heart in a way that I can't explain. So the folks from SOCR asked me to accept this, and I had to think about it for a bit. I said, okay, I might as well. You know, my time is running out here at the city, so let me make my marks. It's nice that you're all recognizing the leadership of Black African American women. Everyone that we hear about are always from the outside of Seattle, even though Seattle is rich with brilliant Black women leaders who have made significant strides in this work. Katrina Johnson is leading the efforts in justice for Charlena Lyles. Sanait Brown, who was a former city employee, led the No New Youth Jail, Youth Undoing Institutional Racism, and many other things. Vivian Caver was one of the first Seattle Rights Commission's department heads. Vin Knox, Human Resources Department, and Jermaine Covington from Seattle Office for Civil Rights were the original two women that brought the race and social justice work to Seattle via the People's Institute for Survival and Beyond. We have Mary Flowers, who works for the Human Services Department, who also is part of the People's Institute and is running the Village of Hope. Dr. Marcia Tate Arunga is from Africa Town, is a big member of that, and also an educator and author. Dr. Sharon Knight, who unfortunately left the city, was a early child education strategic advisor from the newly formed Department of Education and Early Learning. Is really sad that we lost her. And Nikita Oliver, all the community activist work that she's doing, and there's so many more that I can't name. The city of Seattle also has many phenomenal women who have made Seattle a better place to thrive in for our communities, and many have been and are city employees. Healthcare, judicial justice, community organizations, educators, we have it all covered. There is not one area left untouched that Black women have not contributed to greatly. I would like to see the city of Seattle curate an art display on these Black African American women. I'd love to work on that project. For now, it can be of an electronic nature and maybe later a visual display at City Hall. This proclamation is nice, but soon it's going to sit somewhere and be long forgotten. More has to be done to create a permanent image of the value of Black African American women, both internally and externally. June will mark my 40th year of employment with the city, so you can imagine I have seen and experienced a lot of change. Currently, the change is rapidly moving backwards for Black African American women and men. It is so bad that employees who may have had 1 or 2 years until 30 have left because they can no longer tolerate how they were being treated. As the city of Seattle is gentrified, is trying to renew the existence of the important contributions of Black African American communities. I am so overjoyed that we have groups of people working to change the narrative, specifically the National African American Museum in Africatown, Seattle. Sorry. The also internal to the city of Seattle, Black and Black women and men still. Sorry, it's just making me kind of emotional.
That's okay. Take your time.
Okay. Also internal to the city of Seattle is Black African American women employees still continue to experience problems of inequity in career advancement, pay, and harsh treatment. Our newer and younger gifted employees are leaving after short periods of time because of the way they are being treated and devalued. Some who are not even staying around long enough to be vested in city retirement. This has to be changed, and you all have to be a part of that change. When I leave the city, I want to ensure that this hemorrhaging of Black and African American women is stopped, and that they will be able to and want to be here as long as I have. The city can be a great place to work, and it's up to us to be a part of making that be realized for everybody that work here. I'm hoping that you want to meet with the Black African American women to discuss how we can make this happen. Thank you. And again, thank you for the beautiful words that you guys have said. They're very touching. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie, for being with us today. Thank you for your almost 40 years of service with the city of Seattle. I can imagine how much you have seen and continue to see, and I really want to thank you for willingness to accept SOCR's nudging and encouragement to have you show up in City Council today to accept this proclamation on behalf of city workers. And I think you have done them justice with your words and how you have shown up in this setting today. And I know several of us would be eager to meet with you and others to talk about how we can continue to do right by the workers we depend on to really make sure that our communities can thrive. And really am appreciative of all of the work that you've done. And all of the work that everybody else in the city does every day, even during and especially during COVID. And I think one of the things that is important that you've said is that many of our city employees are not just city employees, they are active participants of our communities and have effectuated a huge, deep amount of change in our communities, in part because of the knowledge and the work and the access that they've been able to gain by being a city employee. And I think that's a really powerful thing. So thank you for your service and for being with us today.
Thank you.
Colleagues, any other comments for Natalie before we say goodbye to her? Okay. Thank you, Natalie, so much for being with us. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, colleagues, we're going to go ahead and move into the next item here, which is approval of the minutes. Okay, the minutes of the... Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on a minute. I'm sorry. I'm supposed to do suspension of the rules first. I apologize for that. Council members, the council rules are silent on allowing remote meetings and electronic participation at council briefing meetings. To be in compliance with Senate concurrent resolution 8402, which extends proclamation 20-28 until the COVID-19 state of emergency is terminated or proclamation 2028 is rescinded by the governor or state legislature. To continue participating remotely in city council meetings, I will move to suspend the council rules. So if there's no objection, the council rules will be suspended to allow remote meetings and electronic participation at city council and committee meetings until the COVID-19 state of emergency is terminated or proclamation 20-28 is rescinded by the governor or state legislature, whichever occurs first. Hearing no objection, the council rules are suspended. City council and committee meetings will be held remotely with council members participating electronically until the COVID-19 state of emergency is terminated or proclamation 20-28 is rescinded by the governor or state legislature, whichever occurs first. Okay, Approval of the minutes. The minutes of the City Council meeting of January 11th, 2020 have been reviewed. If there's no objection, the minutes will be signed. Hearing no objection, the minutes are being signed. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the minutes? Adoption of the referral calendar. If there's no objection, the introduction referral calendar will be adopted. Hearing no objection, the introduction referral calendar is adopted. Approval of the agenda. If there's no objection, the agenda will be adopted. Hearing no objection, the agenda is adopted. Public comment. Colleagues, at this time, we will open the remote public comment period for items on the City Council agenda, introduction and referral calendar, and the Council's work program. I thank everyone for their ongoing patience and cooperation as we continue to operate this remote public comment system. It remains the strong intent of the City Council to have remote public comment regularly included on meeting agendas. However, as a reminder, the City Council reserves the right to end or eliminate these public comment periods at any point if we deem that this system is being abused or is no longer suitable for allowing our meetings to be conducted efficiently and effectively. I will moderate the public comment period in the following manner. The public comment period for this meeting is 20 minutes, and each speaker will be given 2 minutes to speak. I'll call on each speaker by name and in the order in which they've registered on the Council's website. If you haven't registered yet but would like to, you can sign up before the end of public comment by going to the Council's website at seattle.gov/council. The public comment link is also listed on today's agenda. Once I call a speaker's name, staff will unmute the appropriate microphone and the speaker will hear an automatic prompt of "You have been unmuted." That will be the speaker's cue that they must press *6 and then begin speaking. Please begin by stating your name and the item that you are addressing. As a reminder, public comment should relate to an item on today's agenda, the introduction referral calendar, or the Council's work program. At about 10 seconds, the speaker will hear a chime. That chime means that you have 10 seconds left of your allotted 2-minute time to address the City Council. We'd ask that you begin wrapping up your public comments when you hear the chime. If you do not end your comments at the end of the allotted time period, your microphone will be muted to allow us to call on the next speaker. Once you've completed your public comment, we ask that you please disconnect from the line. And if you plan to continue following this meeting, you can do so on Seattle Channel or the listening options listed on the agenda. Okay, public comment period is now open and we'll begin with the first speaker on the list. Again, you will hear the prompt, "You have been unmuted," and then you will have to hit *6 on your end in order to allow us to hear you. First up is Howard Gale, followed by Cindy Domingo.
Hi, good afternoon. Howard Dale, District 7, commenting on police abuse and failed accountability. We've all heard about Seattle officer Eric Whitehead, paid well over $100,000 per year, who repeatedly refused to wear a mask in a hospital room last week. Officer Whitehead was also one of the Seattle officers who filed a civil rights suit against Seattle's police reform process, claiming that restrictions on his ability to use force constituted a violation of his civil rights. So we now know that Officer Whitehead, in addition to displaying a total disregard for public health, also has a more general disregard for public safety and human rights. But how could things be any different given our complete failure of an accountability system? Last Friday, the Seattle Times noted, in relation to the many months of horrifying abuse committed by Seattle police, that, quote, the OPA sustained misconduct allegations or policy violations in 5 of 22 cases. Only one officer so far has been disciplined with a written reprimand, according to records posted online, unquote. Councilmember Herbold, this morning during council briefing, you stated in regards to Officer Whitehead that we should not have to wait for an OPA investigation in order to get corrective action during a health pandemic. Do you think we should wait for an OPA investigation, especially repeatedly failed ones, for corrective action during a police violence pandemic? Do you think it serves any measure of justice and accountability that, given that we are now well past the 180-day timeline for disciplining officers, that very few, if any, officers will face discipline or accountability for their abuses of the last 8 months? Hundreds of people exercising their First Amendment rights were beaten, severely injured, and falsely arrested over these last 8 months. It should be clear now that their abusers will escape justice. The smallest measure of justice you could provide them now is to recognize the failure of police accountability and move to create a fully civilianized system under community control. Put more words into law rather than proclamations. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Cindy Domingo, followed by David McLanahan. And Cindy, if you're with us, you'll have to hit *6 to unmute yourself.
My name is Cindy Domingo, and I'm speaking to Resolution 31984. I'm the chair of U.S. Women and Cuba Collaboration, chair of Women's International League for Peace and Freedoms, Cuba and the Bolivarian Alliance Issues Committee, and also a resident of Councilmember Dan Strauss's district. I want to thank Councilmember Mosqueda for sponsoring this resolution, calling for U.S.-Cuba collaboration in battling COVID-19. It is certainly encouraging to people in Cuba and all over the United States to have someone like Councilmember Mosqueda and others on this council who have a deep understanding of the relationship between your role as policymakers and the interrelationship between domestic policies and foreign policy. It is particularly important in this period as we face some of the darkest days yet in this pandemic, and as thousands of people are dying and will die over the next few months. As we have said, a pandemic in nature is a global phenomenon and thus requires a global response with global cooperation in all the fields of science, research, public health approaches, and preventive care. This is required for this pandemic, but for also future pandemics and diseases that we have already, like cancer, heart disease, and diabetes. Global cooperation should be embedded in every approach to healthcare because it will, in the end, save lives, especially if you are communities of color and poor communities. Cuba has proven itself over and over again for 60 years that it is committed to the issue of healthcare as a human right. So I hope you will vote for this resolution and join the other cities that have passed similar resolutions. Together, we will save lives and end the inhumane U.S. blockade against Cuba. And I hope that one day soon, we can travel together and learn more about Cuba's healthcare system and how they organize their society to deal with this pandemic.
Thank you, Cindy, for being with us today. Next up is David McLanahan, followed by John Waller.
Hi. Thanks to Councilmember Mosqueda for putting forward this resolution 31984 supporting Cuba. I'm David McLanahan with 25 years experience in Seattle working with the underserved at PacMed, Country Doctor, and International Health Services community clinics. I'm a emeritus associate professor of surgery at UW, where I have helped train hundreds of medical students and surgical residents. In 2005, I had the opportunity to spend 10 days in Cuba as part of a U.S. medical delegation looking at its healthcare system from top to bottom, including the largest hospitals to the local residential clinics. We also visited the Latin American School of Medicine in Havana, that is the largest medical school in the world, providing free medical education to 5,000 students from all over the planet. More than 100 students from underserved areas in the United States have received this free MD level education they would not have been able to receive in our country. The Cuban healthcare system is very, very impressive and is borne out by its statistics, most of which are better than ours in the U.S. A big reason for this is there is no need to extract profit from this people-focused healthcare system. I'm speaking in support of this resolution that seeks to foster collaboration between healthcare professionals in Cuba and the U.S., including recent experience with COVID-19 treatments, medications, and vaccines. The island of Cuba has much better statistics in terms of COVID-19 infections and mortality than the U.S. Its pledge to internationalism has led to 40 teams of doctors and nurses working in 30 underdeveloped countries around the world. To put that in perspective, the president of Mexico recently thanked Cuba for sending more than 500 doctors and nurses to help Mexico fight this pandemic. Recently, the Trump administration designated Cuba as a state sponsor of terrorism. So please sponsor this resolution unanimously to help us recover our nation's international reputation. Thank you.
Thank you for calling in today. Next up is John Waller, followed by Kirk Robbins. And John, if you're with us, you'll need to hit *6 to unmute yourself.
Sorry. My name is John Waller. I'm speaking to Resolution 31984 on medical collaboration with Cuba. Also, I'm the Secretary of the Seattle-Cuba Friendship Committee and also a former health center manager for Planned Parenthood in California and Seattle. I want to speak particularly to the final sections of the resolution about what we'd like this council to do. The first is about helping develop medical collaboration in Seattle. Such collaboration virtually is already happening in Minneapolis with the University of Minnesota and Cuban health experts. Another one is planned in San Francisco, and we'd like to make Seattle, with its prestigious medical and research centers, the third collaboration. Section 2 asks you to join us in appealing to the Washington State Legislature and the Governor to actively pursue such exchanges. This again has already been attempting in Minnesota and California. We'd like it to happen in Washington State as well. And finally, we ask you to call on the incoming new Congress and Biden administration to go further than President Obama was able to do and fully lift the economic blockade of Cuba after 60 years. And also to take Cuba off the list of countries designated as state sponsors of terrorism. This was done by the Trump administration literally a few days ago, and it's particularly ironic that a country that has sent its health workers around the world for 60 years is being labeled terrorist by a president who himself is a sponsor of domestic terrorism. Thank you for listening. I hope you pass this resolution unanimously.
Thank you for calling in today. Next up is Kirk Robbins.
Hi, I'm Kirk Robbins. I live in Ballard and in District 6, and I'm also commenting on the Cuba resolution. I'm shocked that Taiwan isn't on here. Taiwan is actually doing the medical research and has been excluded from the medical research community in the WHO and organizations like that. I'm also appalled that people can discuss this country as though it were Cuba, as though it were a democratic free country. What do you think police accountability looks like in Cuba? What do you think that human rights in general look like in Cuba? Hopefully, if we're going to send a delegation to Cuba, we're going to ask these pointed questions. What about gender equality? What about marriage equality? There's no marriage equality in Cuba. Taiwan now has it. I think this is a very selective, special interest foreign policy resolution. You should probably stay away from foreign policy in general. You have enough workload to do. So please be careful and manage your workload and stand up for freedom and against tyranny. Thank you.
Okay, colleagues, that is the last person we have signed up for public comments. So I'm going to go ahead and close out the public comment period so that we can begin items of other business on our agenda. Okay, payment of the bills. Will the clerk please read the title?
Council Bill 119988, appropriating money to pay salaries and claims for the week of January 4th, 2021 through January 8th, 2021, and ordering payment thereof.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I move to pass Council Bill 119988. Is there a second?
Second. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. The bill passed. Are there any comments? Hearing no additional comments, will the clerk please call the roll on the passage of the bill?
Juarez.
Aye.
Lewis.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Mosqueda.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Sawant.
Yes.
Strauss.
Yes.
Herbold.
Yes.
President Gonzalez.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
The bill passes and the chair will sign it. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the legislation on my behalf? Item 1. Will the clerk please read item 1 into the record?
Agenda item 1, resolution 31984, calling for U.S.-Cuban collaboration to save lives in the fight against COVID-19.
Thank you. I move to adopt resolution 31984. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the resolution. Councilmember Mosqueda, I understand you have an amendment to this resolution. Would you, actually, I think my script is a little off. It says Councilmember Morales has an amendment, but I think it's Mosqueda.
Madam President, if it pleases the President, maybe I could speak to the amendment and speak to the underlying resolution, and then there's 2 amendments, and I could have our colleagues help out with those.
Got it. Great. Okay. Looks like I just misread my my script here. So why don't you go ahead and address the underlying item, and then we'll consider amendment.
Thank you very much, Madam President. It is my pleasure to bring forward Resolution 31984. Colleagues, as many of you have commented on over the last few weeks, but especially over the last year, in this time of a global pandemic, we should be doing everything we possibly can to care for the lives and livelihoods of not just those in the city of Seattle, but recognizing that this pandemic is affecting our global community. This pandemic recognizes that this is an opportunity, this resolution recognizes that we have an opportunity to engage in global cooperation and engage with leaders in the healthcare, technology, and vaccine distribution areas to make sure that we are caring for our global health and the global health of our population. As Cindy Domingo and David McClanahan said in public testimony today, it is time for international cooperation and solidarity in the face of this pandemic to save lives. The U.S. has the highest number of COVID-19 cases and deaths in the world. According to the Center for Disease Control, there have been over 2 million confirmed cases, and this morning, the number of deaths reported by the CDC is almost at 394,000 deaths, with cases growing every day. Contrast that with Cuba's free community-based healthcare system, unified governmental approach to addressing COVID, and the robust biopharmaceutical industry, which has enabled the country to effectively deal with COVID-19 pandemic. Cuba has a record of saving about 80% of their patients in critical and serious conditions. Compare that with statistics worldwide, where some 80% of COVID patients in critical conditions are dying. Cuba has a long history of providing international medical aid and healthcare to the people of the world, especially in developing countries, under the banner that healthcare is a human right. And the Cuba Henry Reed International Medical Brigade was decisive in previous fights on similar issues of importance for the global health of our community. They have helped to fight against the Ebola epidemic in West Africa and has stepped forward in many of the epidemics around the world, including dengue fever, HIV, AIDS, swine flu, and hepatitis. We all benefit when Cuba and the expertise, the international community can work together to address the crisis that is cropping up in healthcare. And right now, our collaboration and coordination with our partners in Cuba is more important than ever. The U.S. blockade has severely restricted collaboration on scientific and medical research that interferes with the potential for saving lives in the face of this pandemic. This resolution follows on the 2019 resolution that I also sponsored, where Seattle became the 12th city in the country to call for an end to the Cuba embargo. This resolution in front of us today encourages the local medical, healthcare, scientific, academic, pharmaceutical institutions to actively explore coordination and collaboration with Cuba, recognizing that this kind of partnership between places like Seattle, Cuba, has a positive effect on the health of the global population, and to work with our local and our national delegation to help address the harms caused by the embargo. A huge thank you again to Cindy Domingo, Chair of the U.S. Women and Cuba Collaboration, as well as the Seattle-Cuba Friendship Committee for their leadership in working with the various cities that have considered similar resolutions and their work here today to fight for a better future, a healthier future for all of us in the city of Seattle and globally in partnership with our friends in Cuba. I know that there are a few amendments to this resolution to improve it, and I thank very much the sponsors of these resolutions. Madam President, I will go ahead and move amendment number 1, if that sounds okay to you. I move amendment 1 to resolution 31984 as presented on amendment 1.
Okay. There's a motion to move amendment 1. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded to adopt amendment 1. Councilmember Roscoe, did you want to further address the amendment?
Sure, very briefly, thank you very much, Madam President. Amendment 1 just removes the mayor's concurrence line, as this is something that is not typically signed on to by the mayor's office as it relates to international affairs. Very much appreciate their team's work and review on this as well. But a simple fix, happy to make, and appreciate the council's consideration to make this a councilmatic resolution.
Okay, so just to be clear, this amendment is technical in nature. It just simply removes the mayor's concurrence signature line so that it'll just be a council resolution.
Absolutely.
Okay. Are there any other comments on the proposed Amendment 1? Councilmember Sawant, please.
I'm not sure why council members are saying this is just a technical fix. The amendment removes a line stating "and the mayor concurring." The line is used when the mayor agrees to sign her name to a resolution in addition to the council. And to be clear, resolutions can be done with or without the agreement of the mayor. And obviously, if the mayor does not agree to sign the resolution, I agree that the resolution should not pretend that she does or give a misleading impression. So I will, of course, be voting yes on this amendment to remove the mayor's signature line. However, I do want to state for the record that it is shameful that Mayor Durkan will not add her support to this resolution. This is a resolution, as has been stated, urging health officials in the US to save lives by working with the doctors in Cuba who have statistically been so much more successful in fighting the spread of COVID-19. I cannot comprehend what reason there would be for Mayor Durkan to not concur with this resolution. We know why Donald Trump prohibited that cooperation. He is about to, his reign is about to end, but he was a reactionary president who built his right-wing base and continues to do so by stoking lies about the dangerous specter of socialism and engaging in new Red Scare. Mayor Durkan should actually be standing up to that xenophobia and red baiting. This is another example of the stark difference between ordinary people who vote Democratic and the establishment of the Democratic Party, which Mayor Durkan is a part of. Over 3/4 of Democrats say they support single-payer Medicare for all, but establishment Democrats in Congress and also establishment Democrats at the local level like Durkan represent the profiteers of this system, the corporations who inflate the cost of life-saving medications and understaffed nurses and doctors in for-profit hospitals. I will vote yes on removing Mayor Durkan's signature line, but I hope everyone watching today's council meeting will see the role of the establishment of the Democratic Party and members like Mayor Durkan standing against anything that puts people ahead of profit in healthcare. And I'm sure that along with big businesses in the Chamber of Commerce, the establishment will be looking for another loyal representative to replace Mayor Durkan in the upcoming elections. Working people will need to be organized under our own strength to stand against corporate control of politics here in Seattle and across the country, to defend the gains movements have won, and to fight for greater reforms like Medicare for all and a massive Green New Deal jobs program nationally. Thank you.
Are there any additional comments on the proposed amendment? Hearing no additional comments, will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of Amendment 1?
Juarez. Councilmember Juarez. Councilmember Lewis.
Yes.
Councilmember Morales.
Yes.
Councilmember Mosqueda.
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson.
Yes.
Councilmember Sawant.
Yes.
Councilmember Strauss.
Yes.
Councilmember Herbold.
Yes.
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes. And Madam Clerk, can you call on Councilmember Juarez one more time?
Councilmember Juarez.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Motion carries and Amendment 1 is adopted. I understand that there is a second amendment, so I will move to amend. Oh, I'm sorry. I need to recognize Councilmember Mosqueda, who I understand has a second amendment.
Thank you very much, Madam President. For process, I will move to amend the resolution 31984 with amendment number 2, sponsored by Councilmember Herbold.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to adopt Amendment 2. Councilmember Mosqueda, did you want to address this, or would you like Councilmember Herbold to address it? Councilmember Herbold, please.
Thanks. I requested additional changes to Amendment 2, as I mentioned at briefings this morning. Last week, we learned that the State Department returned Cuba to the very short list of countries that are state sponsors of terrorism. This plan to do so was developed outside of the State Department's Counterterrorism Bureau, which would usually play the central role in such a decision. The New York Times reports that although the sanctions triggered by the move might be negligible given the scale of existing American penalties, it could be a deterrent for businesses and impede financial transactions such as those that would be called for in Resolution 31984. My office reached out to an advocate for the resolution who suggested adding reverse the recent State Department designation of Cuba as a terrorist state to the resolution. And many thanks to Councilmember Mosqueda for working with my office to include this new language in the amendment.
Thank you so much for that description, Councilmember Herbold. Are there any additional comments on proposed Amendment 2? Hearing no additional comments, will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of Amendment 2?
Juarez.
Aye.
Lewis.
Aye.
Morales.
Yes.
Mosqueda.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Sawant.
Yes.
Strauss.
Yes.
Herbold.
Yes.
President Gonzalez.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Thank you so much. The motion carries and Amendment 2 is adopted. Are there any further comments on the amended resolution? Councilmember Peterson and then Councilmember Sawant.
Thank you, Council President. I appreciate that some of my colleagues took the time to craft this resolution, and no disrespect is meant here, but I'll be voting no on this particular resolution, and so I want to explain why. Speaking for myself as an individual, I fully support full diplomatic relations with Cuba, but I am not currently enough of an expert on international relations, Cuban pharmaceuticals, or other issues expressed in the resolution to vote one way or the other on this official resolution from Seattle. There are thousands of policies from the Trump administration that I and many of us want to reverse. Despite the fact that the United States companies helped to develop the first COVID vaccines, our country's government officials have a lot to learn from other countries and how they have addressed this pandemic. Other countries include Taiwan, New Zealand, Vietnam, and many others. But frankly, I'm confident the new Biden administration can reach these conclusions without the advice of city councils. I believe that many resolutions addressing international relations are simply outside the scope of a legislative body, of a city government. Going forward, I hope we can limit these types of resolutions on international relations and focus on the many challenges facing us here in Seattle. Unfortunately, the current rules of the city council don't allow for abstentions at full city council meetings for resolutions like this, so I'll be voting no. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Peterson. Councilmember Sawant.
Thank you, President Gonzalez. I was happy to co-sponsor this resolution at the request of Physicians for a National Health Program, who have been advocating for Medicare for all single-payer health care for years. Thank you to Councilmember Mosqueda's office for bringing this forward. As a socialist, I believe that genuine socialism would go and need to go beyond what has been achieved in Cuba. For example, a fundamental necessity for socialism and to end the power of the capitalist class, the billionaires and other wealthy individuals, the economy would need to be democratically and collectively in the hands of ordinary workers, which is not the case in Cuba. A socialist society would include the mass of the working class, beginning to build a society free of oppression. On 17 December 1917, for example, just 7 weeks after forming the world's first workers' state following the Russian Revolution, some of the most progressive laws ever were passed. Religious marriage was abolished and very easily accessible divorce was legalized. The following month, the Family Code was brought into law. The code enshrined legal equality for women and abolished the illegitimacy of the quote unquote illegitimacy of children, also fully sanctioned abortion rights. After the revolution, homosexuality was decriminalized and all anti-gay laws were removed from the criminal code. There were people who decided to live as the opposite gender following the revolution, and by 1926, it became legal to change your sex on passports. Intersex and trans people received medical care and were not demonized. Research on these issues was state-funded, and permission was granted to perform gender reassignment surgeries at the request of the patient. We should keep in mind all of these events happened decades before any of these rights were fully accessible, and even now they aren't fully accessible under the system of capitalism. In fact, the rights that we have won are constantly under attack. Look at what's happened to abortion rights and how women, successive generations of women have to continue to fight for those rights. Of course, the later events in the former Soviet Union also showed that socialism in one country cannot succeed, and we need an internationally organized fight back against capitalism, because as long as capitalism exists globally, the wealthy will do everything in their power to destroy individual examples of socialism. All this becomes especially clear when we think about the climate catastrophe. The climate catastrophe cannot be addressed without an international overhaul of infrastructure, industry, and transportation to end fossil fuel use. And it also cannot happen without workers globally taking the top corporations into democratic public ownership, because the capitalist class has shown it has no incentive to make this kind of overhaul. However, having said that, the truth about Cuba has been gravely distorted by corporate media and corporate politicians for decades. In fact, the US state, under both Democratic and Republican administrations, has deliberately and systematically and blatantly obscured the crucial socialist features of Cuba that have shown themselves to be overwhelmingly superior to what's possible under capitalism. Cuba has a planned economy rather than having an economy controlled by the capitalist elite, and they have had that because of the advantage of the planned economy. They have been able to survive COVID, terrible hurricanes, and other emergencies far, far better, not only than comparable capitalist economies like Haiti, which is another poor country, but also the United States, the richest country in the history of humanity. In fact, as the data included in this resolution shows, Cuba has been far, far more successful in limiting the spread of COVID than has the United States. And that is because they invest in the resources of society into people's health rather than in the profits of Wall Street. The complete failure of the private profiteering healthcare companies in the United States to address the COVID health emergency is a clear demonstration of the urgency for single-payer Medicare for all, with full coverage of all medical needs, including dental and gender medicine needs, not to mention fully socialized medicine. I'm happy to vote yes on and co-sponsor this resolution, urging cooperation with Cuba to fight the pandemic. And like the activists with the Physicians for a National Health Program, I support Medicare for All, and I urge the progressive Democrats in DC, especially the Squad Congress members like Ocasio-Cortez and new members Bush and Bowman, to use their positions in this pivotal coming period. Over the next 2 years, with the Squad holding the numerical balance of power in the House of Representatives, this means they can force issues like Medicare for All onto the table. The Squad Congress members are positioned to be at the forefront of a real fight against the Democratic establishment if they choose to. Thank you.
Are there any additional comments on the resolution as amended? Councilmember Mosqueda, you'll have the last word on the resolution per custom and rule. So I'm just looking for any other comments from any other council members. All right, I'm not seeing anything. So Councilmember Mosqueda, you get the last word and you get to close out debate on this resolution so we can call it to a final vote.
Colleagues, thank you again for your consideration of the resolution in front of us. This is truly a matter of making sure that our local community has access to the most high-tech information and most effective ways to fight COVID. And as the resolution notes, Cuba is on the forefront of coming up with the strategies, not only to ensure that there is proper ways to protect against COVID, but I think that they will continue to be on the forefront for making sure that we can protect against future waves of COVID affecting our global community. The resolution notes that the data from US deaths of COVID, especially here in Washington State and across the United States, fall disproportionately on Black, Latino, and Indigenous communities. And recognizing that it is our communities of color that are being hardest hit among the population being affected by COVID, and the ways in which the Cuba healthcare community has stood up strong defenses against the pandemic, I think this has a direct impact on not only the health of the global population, but the health right here in Seattle. Seattle and King County are home to some of the most prestigious research, teaching, and medical treatment centers in the country and in the world. And working in partnership with counterparts in Cuba, we can see an even more effective response to the COVID pandemic. And we're not alone in this region of the country or the world in identifying ways in which we can create solidarity across borders and fight against COVID hand in glove with our partners in places like Cuba. The Washington State Labor Council, AFL-CIO, and the Martin Luther King County Labor Council have passed resolutions calling for cooperation with Cuba to save lives in the face of COVID. These are our partners and our colleagues right here in the city of Seattle, who are amongst the many asking for us to identify ways in which Seattle, King County, the U.S., and the world can work together to greatly benefit from shared cooperations amongst institutions and government. I appreciate your consideration of this resolution today and know that there is much more that we must do to treat healthcare as a human right, not only home, but also globally, and look forward to working with all of you as we fight against this pandemic and ensure a more equitable recovery in the long term. Thanks again to our friends from the Seattle, Cuba Friendship Committee, to also Cindy Domingo and the incredible work she does, and David McClanahan for Physicians for National Health Plan, and so many others who are working on this. I'm proud to be among the cities that are advancing similar resolutions, and thank you all.
Thank you. With that, debate is now closed on this resolution. Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of amended resolution 31984?
Juarez.
Aye.
Lewis.
Yes.
Morales.
Yes.
Mosqueda.
Yes.
Peterson.
No.
Sawant.
Yes.
Strauss.
Yes.
Herbold.
Yes.
President Gonzalez.
Aye.
8 in favor, 1 opposed.
Thank you. The resolution is adopted as amended, and the chair will sign it. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the legislation on my behalf? Items 2 through 5. Will the clerk please read items 2 through 5 into the record?
Agenda items 2 through 5, appointments 1741 through 1744, reappointment of Scott S. Yesby as member, Chinatown International District Preservation and Development Authority Governing Council for term to December 31st, 2021. Appointment and reappointments of Geraldine L.C. Young, Casey Huang, and Philip Sitt as member, Seattle Chinatown International District Preservation and Development Authority Governing Council for term to December 31st, 2022.
Thank you. I move to confirm appointments 1741 through 1744. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to confirm the appointments. Councilmember Strauss, as the prime sponsor, you're recognized in order to address these appointments.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, colleagues. These are the 4 appointments to the Governing Council of the Seattle Chinatown International District Preservation and Development Authority, also known as SCIPDA. These 4 appointments are all being made by the governing councils themselves. Scott Yausi, excuse me for mispronunciation, is a member of the Real Estate and Land Use Practice Group at Fox Rothschild LLP, where he covers a broad range of commercial real estate matters. Geraldine Young is a project manager at the Kerner Corporation and has previously served as the board of directors at the Washington Asian Pacific Islander Community Services. Casey Huang is a associate principal at Mithun with 30 years of architectural experience, including on the Shell Shoal Bay Marina in Ballard. And lastly, Philip Sitt is a policy advisor at the Office of Economic Development, somebody that we all here at Council rely heavily upon, and has previously worked for the Washington State Commission on Asian Pacific American Affairs. I am excited, delighted to bring these forward, and I urge a yay vote.
Thank you, Councilmember Strauss. Are there any additional comments on these appointments? Hearing no additional comments on these appointments, will the clerk please call the roll on the confirmation of the appointment?
Juarez.
Aye.
Lewis.
Yes.
Morales.
Yes.
Mosqueda.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Sawant.
Yes.
Strauss.
Yes.
Herbold.
Yes.
President Gonzalez.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
The motion carries and the appointments are confirmed. Items 6 and 7. Will the clerk please read items 6 and 7 into the record?
Agenda items 6 and 7, appointments 1745 and 1746, appointment of Stephanie Young as member, Pike Place Market Historical Commission for term to December 1st, 2021, and appointment of Grace Leong as member, Pike Place Market Historical Commission for term to December 1st, 2022.
Thank you. I move to confirm appointments 1745 and 1746. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to confirm the appointments. Councilmember Strauss, as sponsor, you are recognized in order to address these appointments.
Thank you, Council President and colleagues. These two appointments are mayoral appointments to the Pike Place Market Historical Commission. Stephanie Young is a skilled business professional with experience serving on the board of the Friends of the Market. Grace Leong is a licensed architect with experience in civic, residential, office, and educational projects, including Othello Square. She's also a board member at the Pike Place Market Child Care and Preschool, a program that we would love to see expanded and recreated all across our city. I urge a yay vote.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Strauss, for that. Are there any additional comments on the appointments? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll on the confirmation of the appointments?
Juarez.
Aye.
Lewis.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Mosqueda.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Sawant.
Yes.
Strauss.
Yes.
Herbold.
Yes.
President Gonzalez.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
The motion carries and the appointments are confirmed. Will the clerk please read item 8 into the record?
Agenda item 8, appointment 1747, appointment of David Michael Moring as member, Urban Forestry Commission for term to March 31st, 2022.
I move to confirm appointment 1747. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to confirm the appointment. Councilmember Strauss, as sponsor, you're recognized in order to address this item.
Thank you, Council President and colleagues. David Moring is an architect with more than 30 years of experience and is currently a capital planner for University of Washington, Bothell. David is being appointed to fill the development community of a non-city utility position on the commission. I have had the pleasure of working with David on a number of different urban forestry issues, and I'm excited to bring his appointment forward today. Again, urging a yay vote.
Thank you so much. Are there any additional comments on this appointment? Councilmember Lewis, please.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to take a moment to recognize that David is a constituent in District 7 in the Magnolia neighborhood. I've had a number of good interactions with him and know that he's very active in the community, serves on the Magnolia Community Council, and is just all around a great addition to our community here in Seattle. And I look forward to voting in favor of his appointment today.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Lewis. Are there any additional comments? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll on the confirmation of the appointment?
Juarez.
Yep.
Lewis.
Yes.
Morales.
Yes.
Mosqueda.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Sawant.
Yes.
Strauss.
Yes.
Herbold.
Yes.
President Gonzalez.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Motion carries and the appointment is confirmed. Will the clerk please read item 9 into the record?
Agenda item 9, appointment 1748, reappointment of David Yeworth as member, Historic Seattle Preservation and Development Authority Governing Council for term to November 30th, 2024.
I move to confirm appointment 1748. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to confirm the appointment. Councilmember Strauss, you're recognized in order to address the appointment.
Thank you, Council President and colleagues. David Yeaworth works on economic development for Catalyst Strategies and previously spent 10 years working here at Council for Councilmembers Sally Clark and Richard Conlin. If you look at the 2006 sketches from Allied Arts of what the waterfront could look like at a time where we had the viaduct, you shouldn't be surprised that these early sketches are nearly identical to what we're building today on the waterfront, because he is a true visionary. He is being reappointed to the PDA to continue serving on the Historic Seattle Governing Council, and I'm very honored to bring forward his reappointment today. I urge a yay vote.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Strauss. Are there any additional comments on the appointment? Councilmember Lewis, please.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. Looking forward to voting in favor of David's confirmation today. I had the great privilege of starting my career in public service in high school as an intern for Councilmember Clark when David was my supervisor. So obviously a lot of those lessons held strongly, and I carry them with me to this day, and really appreciate that formative experience and his formative mentorship in my role now as a member of the council. And I look forward to voting in favor of his confirmation.
Thank you so much for those comments, Councilmember Lewis. Any additional comments? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll on the confirmation of the appointment?
Juarez.
Aye.
Lewis.
Yes.
Morales.
Yes.
Mosqueda.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Sawant.
Yes.
Strauss.
Yes.
Herbold.
Yes.
President Gonzalez.
Yes.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Thank you so much. The motion carries and the appointment is confirmed. Okay, moving on to item 10. Will the clerk please read the short title of item 10 into the record?
The report of the Land Use and Neighborhoods Committee, Agenda Item 10, Council Bill 119978, relating to floodplains, extending interim regulations established by Ordinance 126113 for 12 months. The committee recommends the bill pass.
Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. Councilmember Strauss, who are the chair of the committee and are recognized in order to provide the committee's report.
Thank you, Council President. Colleagues, this legislation extends for 1 year the interim regulations regarding floodplains that the council adopted this last year. These regulations are required for the city to remain in federal compliance and for property owners in floodplain areas to be able to continue using FEMA's flood insurance program. The interim regulations will allow SDCI to finalize the permanent regulations, which are currently working their way through the outreach process and will be transmitted to council later this year. The department is required to contact every single property owner in the floodplain area, which has grown quite significantly, thank you, due to our climate crisis. And the contacting of every property owner is the cause for delay today. I am confident that the final and permanent regulations will be before council before the end of this year. Thank you, Council President and colleagues.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Strauss. Councilmember Peterson, please.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Councilmember Strauss, for leading on these interim flood regulations from our Seattle Department of Construction and Inspection. As the permanent regulations, these flood regulations are developed, we'll rely a lot on experts at Seattle Public Utilities to evaluate areas prone to flooding. As a reminder to the viewing public, the City Council is now requiring all new legislation to be evaluated through the lens of climate change, such as emissions and adaptation. This particular bill was drafted prior to adding that analysis. So when we receive the final regulations for review within the year, I'll look forward to the new climate analysis being applied. It's important that the final flood regulations incorporate the best available science and keep our city resilient by adapting to climate change, such as rising water levels and additional storm events. We want to make sure we build infrastructure to the standards necessary to withstand climate change challenges, and we should use this knowledge to prevent new construction of buildings in areas that will be flooded later. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Peterson. Are there any additional comments on the bill? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll on the passage of the bill?
Juarez.
Aye.
Lewis.
Aye.
Morales.
Yes.
Mosqueda.
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Sawant,
Yes.
Strauss,
Yes.
Herbold,
Yes.
President Gonzalez.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
The bill passes and the chair will sign it. Will the clerk please affix my signature to the legislation on my behalf? Will the clerk please read items 11 through 16 into the record?
The report of the Public Safety and Human Services Committee agenda, items 11 through 16, appointments 1753 through 1756, and 1758 and 1759. Reappointment of Alina Santillan as member, Community Police Commission for term to December 31st, 2022. Reappointments of Suzanne Dickerson, Aaron B. Goodman, Douglas E. Wagoner, Harichi Vipichandra Dave, and LaRonda Baker as members, Community Police Commission for term to December 31st, 2023. The committee recommends these appointments be confirmed.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilmember Herbold, as chair of the committee, you are recognized in order to provide the committee's report.
Thank you so much. Alina is a council reappointment. Alina works as the Director of Racial Equity for Seattle Center, supporting the Seattle Center organizations to strengthen their racial equity strategies and practices. Alina previously worked at KEXP 90.3 in several roles, including as Community Engagement Manager. He is a graduate of the Seattle Community Police Academy and has volunteered for a number of nonprofit organizations, including Youth Care, the Rainier Valley Youth Corps, and the Black Prisoners Caucus at Clallam Bay. Suzette Dickerson is a mayoral reappointment. Suzette is an experienced staff representative at WCCCE AFSCME Council 2, and has a history of working in government relations. She's skilled in team building, management, leadership, and labor relations. Prior to her current role, Suzette worked as business representative for Teamsters Local 117. She has a strong passion for helping others, and is driven by equity and social justice. These two components she feels are a driving force for her work day in and day out. Aaron Goodman is a mayoral reappointment. Aaron has served as executive director of the SoDo Business Improvement Area, representing business interests in the heart of Seattle's industrial community since its founding in 2014. Her role includes cultivating collaborative relationships between BIA business and property owners, elected officials, City of Seattle departments, and community organizations. She has served on the North Precinct Advisory Council and currently serves on the South Precinct Advisory Council and is focused on building bridges between the South Precinct and the community they serve. Douglas Wagoner is a council reappointment. Douglas has a broad range of experience in local, state, and federal government, including youth violence prevention, cultural competency, and communications. He serves as Deputy Director of Communications for the King County Prosecuting Attorney's Office and formerly served as a communications lead at the Office of Healthy and Safe Communities in the Washington State Department of Health. Douglas has served as a communications director for U.S. Representative Larson and Deputy Press Secretary, Digital Media Manager for U.S. Senator Cantwell, and has designed and executed an independent project to evaluate and implement the St. Louis Youth Violence Prevention Plan in concert with the City of St. Louis Department of Health and their mayor's office. Douglas has also fought to implement restorative justice practices as an undergraduate at UC Santa Barbara. Prachi Vipichandra Dave is a CPC appointment. Prachi is currently the Policy and Advocacy Director at the Public Defender Association. At the PDA, Prachi manages the legal work in the Racial Disparity Project and PDA's policy work. Prachi is also deeply involved in the PDA's coalition-based criminal legal work. Prior to joining the PDA, Prachi was a staff attorney at the American Civil Liberties Union of Washington, where she managed the Second Chances Project, a project focused on reentry in the criminal legal reform. In that role, she worked to reduce the barriers posed by prior criminal history through a combination of litigation and paid advocacy. Let's see here. LaRonda Baker is a CPC reappointment. LaRonda Baker is a special counsel for affirmative litigation and policy at the King County Department of Public Defense. In her role, she spearheads DPD's inquest program and represents families who have lost loved ones due to police violence and represents them in inquest proceedings. LaRon Baker has 10 years of civil rights and civil liberties litigation and policy experience honed during her time at the ACLU of Washington, their civil rights unit, and also the Washington State Attorney General's Office and the Department of Public Defense. A significant amount of her work has involved the criminal legal system and policy issues, including serving as a counsel in Trubud versus DSHS, a challenge to Pierce County's jail failure to provide religious accommodations to Muslim inmates, a challenge to private prisons' practice of paying detainee workers $1 a day for labor that kept for-profit prison operational, and a challenge to the placement of peaceful hunger strikers in solitary confinement at the Northwest Detention Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Herbold. Are there any additional comments on these appointments? Hearing no additional comments on the appointments, will the clerk please call the roll on the confirmation of the appointments?
Juarez.
Aye.
Lewis.
Aye.
Morales.
Yes.
Mosqueda.
Yes.
Peterson.
Aye.
Sawant.
Yes.
Strauss.
Yes.
Herbold.
Yes.
President Gonzalez.
Aye.
9 in favor, none opposed.
Thank you. The motion carries and the appointments are confirmed. Other business. Is there any other further business to come before the council? Okay, hearing none, colleagues, this does conclude the items of business on today's agenda. Our next regularly scheduled City Council meeting is on Monday, January 25th, 2021 at 2:00 p.m. I hope that you all have a wonderful evening and afternoon. We're adjourned. Thank you.